When you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it.
All right, so we're going to be diving into Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist today. It's a book that's sold like millions of copies and is, hailed as this life-changing read. But is it just like a feel-good story, or is there something deeper here?
What's fascinating about The Alchemist is that it operates on multiple levels.
Yeah.
So you have this like surface-level adventure story, right? About a shepherd named Santiago who journeys to find a treasure at the pyramids. But underneath that, there's this really profound exploration of what it means to live a life of purpose.
Oh, okay. So you're saying it's not just about finding a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Exactly. The treasure is really more like a metaphor. It represents Santiago's personal legend, a term that Coelho uses to describe our unique purpose in life. So the real journey is all about Santiago discovering what his personal legend is and overcoming the obstacles that stand in his way.
Okay, let's unpack this personal legend concept a bit. It sounds a bit mystical, Is Coelho suggesting that we all have some grand destiny preordained for us?
Not necessarily preordained, but there's definitely this idea that we all have a unique calling, something that resonates with our deepest desires and talents. It might be a career, it could be a creative pursuit, it could be a way of contributing to the world that makes you truly feel alive. And the book is suggesting that listening to this inner voice is key to a fulfilling life.
So how does Santiago figure out what his personal legend is? Does it just hit him like a bolt of lightning?
Well, it starts with a dream, actually, a recurring dream about finding a treasure at the pyramids. But it's not simply about the treasure itself, right? The dream is like a nudge from the universe, a call to adventure that sets Santiago on this path of self-discovery.
And along the way, he meets all sorts of interesting characters who teach him about listening to his heart, recognizing omens, and trusting the journey. That's a pretty cool premise. But what are omens exactly? Are we talking about fortune cookie wisdom here?
Omens are more than just random occurrences, right? They're kind of like meaningful coincidences, synchronicities that seem to guide us in a certain direction. You think of it as the universe speaking to us in a language that we don't always consciously understand.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all ties together, but how do you learn to read these omens? Is there a handbook or something?
Coelho suggests that it starts with paying attention, becoming more aware of the world around us. He talks about this language without words, a kind of intuitive understanding that speaks through feelings, gut instincts, and a deeper connection to nature.
So it's less about logical thinking and more about trusting your intuition.
Precisely. It's about recognizing those moments when something feels right or wrong, even if you can't explain it rationally. And the book suggests that this inner voice, this intuition, is often guiding us towards our personal legend.
But what if your intuition leads you down the wrong path? Like Santiago gets robbed early in his journey. Doesn't that suggest that sometimes our gut feelings can mislead us?
That's a great question. Setbacks are inevitable. The book doesn't shy away from that. But the real question is, how do you respond to those challenges? Do they break you, or do they become learning experiences that push you closer to your personal legend?
So it's not about avoiding obstacles, but learning to navigate them.
Exactly. And in The Alchemist, those setbacks often turn out to be like blessings in disguise. They redirect Santiago. They force him to rely on his intuition even more, and ultimately lead him to unexpected opportunities he wouldn't have found otherwise. Think about the time he loses all his money and is forced to work for a crystal merchant.
Right. He could have just given up and gone home at that point. Instead, he embraces the situation and learns valuable lessons about the world and himself.
That's a great example of how Coelho portrays the idea that challenges can refine us. Polish is like a stone tumbling in a river. He's constantly reminding us that the journey itself is just as important as the destination, maybe even more so.
And the journey takes Santiago through some pretty amazing landscapes, right? The vastness of the Sahara Desert, the ancient mystery of the pyramids. It sounds visually stunning.
The setting plays a huge role in the book. The desert, with its stark beauty and unforgiving nature, becomes a metaphor for the journey of self-discovery. It's a place of solitude, reflection, and ultimately transformation. It strips away all the distractions and forces you to confront your deepest fears and desires.
It sounds like The Alchemist is about way more than just a treasure hunt. It's about embracing the journey, trusting your intuition, and recognizing that challenges are often opportunities for growth.
Exactly. It's about the courage to step outside your comfort zone, listen to the whispers of your heart, and pursue your personal legend, even when the path seems, uncertain.
There's a lot to unpack here, but one thing that jumped out at me is Santiago's relationship with Fatima, a desert woman he falls deeply in love with. Is he forced to choose between love and his personal legend?
It's a classic dilemma, right? But what's interesting is that Fatima actually encourages Santiago to continue his journey. She understands that true love shouldn't hold you back from your dreams.
Wow. That's pretty profound. So it's not a zero-sum game where you have to sacrifice one thing for another. It's about finding a balance, a harmony between your passions and your relationships.
And perhaps recognizing that true love can actually support and enhance your journey towards fulfilling your personal legend.
This is getting really good, but we're just scratching the surface here. We haven't even talked about the alchemist himself, this mysterious figure who guides Santiago toward his destiny.
That's where things get really interesting. The alchemist represents a higher level of wisdom, a mastery of the language of the world, and he plays a crucial role in helping Santiago tap into his own hidden potential.
Okay, now I'm dying to know more. We'll have to dive deeper into the alchemist teachings and what they reveal about the nature of the universe, the power of transformation, and the true meaning of achieving one's personal legend.
Want to explore more life-changing books like The Alchemist? Don't forget to subscribe to our Bookshelf channel for deep dives into literary gems that will spark your imagination and inspire you to live a life of purpose.
All right, so we left off talking about The Alchemist and this idea of tapping into hidden potential. What exactly does The Alchemist teach Santiago? Is it like a secret recipe for success?
It's more profound than a simple recipe. Yeah. The Alchemist guides Santiago toward a deeper understanding of the world, this interconnectedness of all things, what Coelho calls the soul of the world.
Soul of the world. That sounds pretty mystical.
It's this idea that there's a unifying life force that flows through everything, connecting us all. And the Alchemist helps Santiago learn to tap into that force, to understand its language, and to use it to achieve his goals.
Okay, so it's about more than just listening to your heart. It's about connecting with something bigger than yourself.
Exactly, and that connection brings a sense of purpose, of knowing your place in the grand scheme of things. It's about aligning your personal desires with the flow of the universe.
So how does one learn to speak this language of the world? Does the Alchemist give Santiago a dictionary or something?
There's no literal dictionary.
Yeah.
But he teaches Santiago to observe the world around him, to notice the signs and synchronicities, the omens that are constantly guiding us. He encourages him to trust his intuition, to follow his heart, even when his head tells him otherwise.
Earlier, we were talking about Santiago getting robbed. That must have been a pretty big test of faith, huh?
Absolutely. The Alchemist reminds Santiago that even when things seem to be, falling apart, there's a hidden order to the universe. He tells him, when you really want something to happen, the whole universe will conspire so that your wish comes true. It's about trusting that even setbacks are part of a larger plan.
That's a pretty powerful concept, but it also takes a lot of courage to keep going when things get tough.
And that's another key lesson the Alchemist imparts: the importance of courage. He tells Santiago, fear is a bigger obstacle than the obstacle itself. It's this idea that our own doubts and fears can hold us back more than any external challenge.
So part of achieving your personal legend is overcoming those internal barriers.
Absolutely. The Alchemist helps Santiago face his fears, to push past his comfort zone, and to embrace the unknown with courage and determination.
And it's through those challenges that Santiago truly begins to understand the language of the world.
Right. The Alchemist uses a very interesting analogy. He tells Santiago that lead and gold are essentially the same material, just at different stages of transformation. He says, everyone seems to have a clear idea of how other people should lead their lives, but none about his or her own. It's a powerful reminder that the journey of transformation is personal and requires us to look inward.
So the Alchemist is essentially teaching Santiago to become an alchemist of his own life, to transform his own fears and limitations into something more valuable.
Precisely. And the process of transformation isn't always easy. Remember, the Alchemist tells Santiago that the darkest hour of the night came just before the dawn. It's in those moments of greatest struggle that we often experience the most profound breakthroughs.
I'm starting to see how the Alchemist is really a blueprint for personal growth. It's not a quick fix, but a journey of self-discovery that requires courage, faith, and a willingness to embrace the unknown.
You've hit the nail on the head. The book offers a powerful reminder that we all have the potential to achieve our dreams, to live a life filled with purpose and meaning. It's about trusting the journey, listening to our intuition, and recognizing that that the universe is conspiring to help us succeed.
Okay, so we've talked about omens, the soul of the world, and the importance of courage. But there's one concept that still feels a bit fuzzy to me, this language without words. How does it actually work in practice?
It's not a literal language with grammar rules and vocabulary. It's more about paying attention to your feelings, your gut instincts, the synchronicities that seem to like pop up in your life. It's about being open to the messages the universe is sending you through symbols, dreams, and even chance encounters.
So it's about recognizing the patterns and connections that might not be, obvious at first glance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think about how Santiago learns to communicate with the desert. He observes the wind, the sand dunes, the behavior of the animals. He starts to sense a deeper intelligence at work, a language that speaks through the natural world.
And he uses this understanding to navigate his journey, to find water, to avoid danger. It's like he's tapping into a hidden wisdom that's always been there.
Precisely. And the more he tunes into this language, the more he realizes that everything is connected. He sees the hand of the universe at work in even the smallest details of his life.
So it's not about forcing things to happen, but aligning yourself with the natural flow of the universe.
Exactly. And that alignment requires a certain level of surrender, of letting go of the need to control everything, and trusting that the universe has your back.
There's so much depth to the Alchemist, but we're getting close to the climax of Santiago's journey. He faces this seemingly impossible challenge, this test that requires him to tap into everything he's learned.
You're talking about the scene where he has to transform himself into the wind.
Right. That's where the book takes a turn into the truly magical. How does Santiago even begin to wrap his head around such a feat? Is he literally going to sprout wings and fly?
Well, it's not about like physical transformation, but rather a spiritual one. It's the culmination of all the lessons he's learned from the Alchemist, from the desert, from the soul of the world itself.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat here. We'll have to dive into that incredible scene in the next part and see how Santiago's journey culminates.
Are you ready to unlock the secrets to living a life of purpose? Don't miss the final part of our deep dive into The Alchemist, where we'll explore the power of transformation, the true meaning of treasure, and the lessons we can all apply to our own lives.
Okay, so we're back, and we're ready to tackle this incredible scene where Santiago has to, become the wind. It sounds impossible, like something out of a myth or something. How does a regular guy even begin to think about doing that?
It's a pivotal moment in the book, and a beautiful illustration of what it means to fully surrender to one's personal legend. Remember, Santiago's journey hasn't just been about following a map to find treasure. It's been about, transforming himself, expanding his awareness, and connecting with something larger than himself.
Right. So this task isn't about literally morphing into like a gust of wind or something. It's more symbolic, right?
Exactly. It's about aligning his will with the forces of nature, tapping into the very essence of creation. He's been learning to listen to the desert, to understand its moods, its rhythms. Now he has to become one with it.
But he's facing this incredible challenge, right? This test from the tribal chieftains who doubt his ability to speak to the desert. They're essentially asking him to prove his connection to the soul of the world.
Right, and it's a test that he can't pass using logic or reason. Mm-hmm. He has to surrender to something larger than himself to fully embrace the wisdom he's gained through his journey.
So how does he do it? Does he close his eyes, meditate, utter some magic spell? What happens?
Well, the scene is described in a way that's both simple and incredibly powerful. Santiago closes his eyes, focuses on the wind, and essentially asks the desert to become a part of him. He remembers the alchemist's words. You must understand that love never keeps a man from pursuing his personal legend. If he abandons that pursuit, it's because it wasn't true love, the love that speaks the language of the world.
Wow, that's beautiful. He's invoking the love he feels for Fatima, for his journey, for life itself. He's drawing on all of that to connect with the desert.
And as he focuses his intention, something remarkable happens. The wind picks up, swirling around him, responding to his call. The sand dances, forming shapes, creating a language that he can understand.
So he's not literally turning into the wind,
Yeah.
but he's communicating with it, directing its power. He's become a conduit for the soul of the world.
And the Chichens witness this like incredible display of power, this merging of human will and the forces of nature. They're awestruck, humbled. They recognize the truth in Santiago's words, the authenticity of his journey.
It's an amazing moment, a testament to the idea that we're capable of so much more than we realize when we align ourselves with our purpose. But even after this incredible feat, Santiago still faces a final challenge, right? He gets beaten and robbed just when he's about to like reach his treasure.
It's a cruel twist of fate, a reminder that even when you're following your personal legend, life can throw you curveballs.
Yeah.
But it's also a test of Santiago's spirit. Will he give up now? Succumb to despair?
Yeah, he could be forgiven for feeling completely defeated at that point.
But instead of giving in to bitterness, Santiago remembers another key lesson from The Alchemist. There's only one way to learn. It's through action. Everything you need to know, you have learned through your journey. He realizes that the treasure isn't just about the gold. It's about everything he's gained along the way.
So he chooses to focus on the wisdom he's acquired, the transformations he's undergone, rather than dwelling on the loss of the physical treasure.
Exactly. And in a remarkable turn of events, the men who robbed him actually lead him directly to the spot where the treasure is buried. They laugh at him, telling him about this dream of a buried treasure near a ruined church.
Wait, so the treasure was right there, like all along, under the sycamore tree where he had his first dream? It's like the universe was playing a cosmic joke on him.
It's more than a joke. It's a reminder that the real treasures are often hidden in plain sight. They're found not by searching frantically, but by paying attention to the signs, by trusting the journey, by believing in your personal legend.
So Santiago finally finds his treasure, but it's not just about the gold, is it? It's about the transformation he's experienced, the wisdom he's gained.
Precisely. The gold represents the outward manifestation of his inner journey. He set out to find treasure, and he found it, both literally and metaphorically. He discovered his purpose, his connection to the soul of the world, and the courage to live a life true to himself.
And in the end, he chooses to return to Fatima, proving that love and personal legend aren't, mutually exclusive. You can have both.
It's a beautiful message about the interconnectedness of life,
Yeah.
about finding balance between our passions and our relationships. Santiago realizes that true love supports growth. It doesn't hold you back.
The Alchemist is such a rich and inspiring story. It's packed with wisdom about following your dreams, trusting your intuition, and embracing the journey. What's the one key takeaway you hope listeners will glean from our deep dive?
I think the most powerful message is that we all have a personal legend, a unique purpose waiting to be, discovered. And the journey to uncover that purpose is filled with challenges, setbacks, and moments of incredible beauty. It's about having the courage to listen to our hearts, to recognize the omens that guide us, and to embrace the transformative power of the unknown.
Beautifully said. And perhaps, like Santiago, we'll discover that the real treasure isn't at the end of the journey, but within ourselves all along. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into The Alchemist. We hope it's inspired you to embark on your own journey of self-discovery.